So, just to show this real quick. Crap.
Are we ahead of them?
No, we're behind by a couple questions that we're going to catch up today. So, for those of you playing along at home, it's October 4th. This is the same as yesterday's homework. We're collecting these last quarter one assignment. Layla, why don't we need to use the rectangle when approaching a problem like 3/5 times 6/7? We can multiply straight across. So similarly, we're going to solve these problems that are on your paper. Right? Did we do all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so check the blue sheet. Make sure that you got them. Check that you understand the math. We go straight across the top multiplying, straight across the bottom multiplying. Right now, where this can get kind of funky is when we have mixed numbers. Now, we're going to show you another strategy to use with mixed numbers, but one strategy we can use is the generic rectangle. So this is on your blue sheet, so please put your eyes on that. We're making a flower bed. Right? I love flower beds. I have raised gardens in my backyard, like great, support bees. They're very important. Bees, they're very important. They without them we would all die. No joke, because they pollinate all our food. So this flower bed is going to be 3.5 by 1.5. We can figure out the entire area of the flower bed by breaking it apart. So if I first want to do the area of the top left, and I just do a 3 by 1 section, what's the area inside of here?
3.
Shout it out. Yeah, 3.
4.
I remember we're multiplying, so I don't know if you were saying that as a joke.
That was a joke.
But 3 by 1, 3 times 1 is just 3. 3 times 1/2 would be down here. What is it? 3 over 2 or 1.5, right? 1/2 times 1. 1/2. Uh-oh, here's the hard one. 1/2 of a half. Kayla? A fourth. Now still make your life easy. What two numbers up here should we put together to make life easy? 1/2 and the 1.5. So this and this, what do they make together? Be careful. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we get 5 1/4. 5 1/4. But that's just one strategy. That's one way to get to Florida. The other way, please write this down. I know you have some space off to the right there, or I centered this. So actually, on either side, if we had 3.5 times 1.5, let's make these improper. So we're going to do this method, right? Multiply down, then add up. So 3 times 2, 6, plus 1 is 7/2. 1.5, we multiply 1 by 2, 2, plus 1 more, 3. See some people not writing. I don't know if you already wrote this somehow, but please make sure we get that down. That's our mixed numbers made improper because we like that better. What's 7 times 3? 21. What's 2 times 2?
4.
4. How many 4s fit into 20? 5. And we have 1 left over. Oh, of course it's the same answer. We still got to Florida. We just took a different route.
How long is that?
It depends. So if you like the rectangle method, I empower you to use the rectangle method. If you like the improper and multiply straight across, I empower you to do that. I'm not making the choice for you. Okay, but you got to choose what method works for you so you can get the right answer.
I'm not going to Florida in this. Look, you're getting
We're getting flowers. Now we have pretty flowers. So you got to the flower bed. You took a different route, but you got to the flower bed.
So we're going to Florida.
Sorry, I was using that. So Keegan, as a reminder, that is just my analogy of saying there are different ways to get to the same place.
So we're going to
So
Florida,
I
right?
use Florida because I enjoy going down south to go, there's oceans and Disney.
Well, we're going to Florida.
So choose whatever process you want. to solve for Rana's flower bed if she makes it bigger than what she initially thought and makes it 5.5 by 1.5. Or 1.5 by 5.5. You can say it in either order, and it doesn't change it. 5.5, 5 to 1.5. You have 226. That's what. You need another copy. I got extra. So worry about that later. We have AO time this afternoon. Do you have 226? Because that's really what we were just working on. So I just want to make sure you have that little reference when you go do your homework. Yes. I know this either needs to be on your graph paper or if you can squeeze it in somewhere. So I gotta fit stuff front and back. I do not want to give you 2 pages for homework. So now my preference, because I'm a bad artist, is do the improper style, right? But because I'm a teacher, I'm gonna do both up here. Yeah, trust me, that is how my friends would probably describe me. Oh yeah, Michael. Well, thank you. Some of my friends might disagree. Now, when we draw the rectangle, don't just put your splits right in the middle. Try to help your brain by making the larger value have more space. 1 should be bigger than 1/2. 5 should be bigger than 1/2. Helps our brain. So 5 times 1, 5. 1 times 1/2, 1/2. 5 times 1/2, 5 is. You could. Question? No?
I think on the top I did like 1 and then I did the half.
And then you did 5.5 over here. Perfectly fine. You should get the same answer in the end. So if I go through and I make life easy, 2.5 can join with just 1/2, and we make 3 plus 5, 8.
1, 4.
So we should get 8 and a 4.
8.
And that, we should really think about labels, right? We don't want any naked numbers. So what are we working in? What's our units? Feet. But when we multiply feet by feet, it becomes feet squared. So please make sure you put that unit on there. It becomes feet squared. And guys, this is real math people do. I'm not making this up because you would need to know how much soil do I need to buy? Or how much fertilizer, or how many flowers can I fit in there? This is actual math people do. Because you don't want to buy too much and waste your money and have all these extra bags of dirt sitting around.
I think do an easier way instead of drawing out the boxes. Say you're at a grocery store, like you said, it's embarrassing to use your calculator. So don't think it'd be embarrassing to pull out a piece of paper and then just stop and then do the boxes. And be I wonder what that
So while I can agree, I have a notebook at home that is full of my drawings for my projects and the math that goes with them. Not joking. Because seriously, when you're a homeowner, you want to make sure you do it right. And sometimes you need to refer back to what you did. So I'm about to redo the floor of our house whenever we save up enough money again. Because the flooring we bought didn't really hold up to our dogs or the water or whatever. So I can go back and look at my drawing of my house, and I've split my rooms to figure out the area of the rooms. I did all this actual math. Sure, if you have a shortcut, yeah.
Draw it out every single time.
Now, my preferred shortcut here is that improper method, right? Which I don't like calling it the improper method because that sounds weird. But 1.5 times 5.5. Make them improper. So 3/2 times 11/2. Thank you. 3 times 11. 33. 2 times 2?
4.
How many 4s? Well, 33 is bad. Would 30 or 32 work with 4? 32. So 4, 8, 16.
8.
8.
I have a question. Mr. Hudson.
Oh, yeah. It's the same answer.
No, Mr. Hudson.
Hold up. feet squared. Yes, Max.
It says 5 1/3.
Oh, yeah, it does, and I said it wrong, so don't worry about that. If it was 1/3, our denominator would change,
6.
right, to a 6.
Yeah, I got
But
that.
we did all this together with these numbers, so we'll
we have to write
my bad. You don't have to, but that's the other method. So remember, it's whichever you prefer. I prefer just doing the math and not having to draw the picture.
When you do your taxes, is it easy since you're a math teacher?
Now, you might be surprised when I tell you this. My wife does her taxes. She likes it.
She does?
Yeah. It's not that difficult, right? You use software, you plug in things into boxes. It's like, look at box 11B, put that number here. Look at box 12. Look, like, it's not that bad. And she's a very detail-oriented person, and I'm normally really busy with school, right? So when it comes down to it, she just does it because it's nice. Like in our relationship, we do things to help the other person out. So spring is a busy time.
Have you
of
ever
year.
done it?
Oh yeah, I've done my taxes.
Were they easy?
I mean, you put on math.
So you didn't do your
There-
taxes.
you don't really do much math when you do your taxes. You fill in numbers. Any questions on this? Yeah, this software does the math. Now, back in the back when before Tax Act and the internet was such a big thing, you'd have to sit down and manually do your taxes. But I didn't because I wasn't. Would I? I was not born. You.
Was it hard? Was it hard?
Finishing my sentence for me. All right, let's practice this just a couple more times because I goofed up the denominators on that last one. So A, we already did A, right? We did A. So let's jump down to B. So please on your graph paper, write out 1 1/3 times 2 1/2. Write the original. I have a lot of people trying to jump right to the second step. Stop it. Write the original. Well, the second step will be the next thing we write. And like some people just, that's the first thing they write. We want to know what we started with. It's not on your blue paper. That's why I said on your graph paper, please copy 1 1/3. We did it in the garden.
Oh.
Remember? This garden was a 3 1/2 times 1 1/2. So we did that both ways. This is where I already had us do this with the improper method. That's what this slide is. This slide says, now do the improper style. So, do our weird shape improper function, or like, I don't even know what to call this, but the thing. A little dance move that makes our fraction improper. 1 1/3 becomes how many thirds? 4 thirds. And 2 1/2 becomes 5 halves.
Oh, yeah.
So when we go straight across, here, can I help with something? You got this on your graph paper? Straight across, 4 times 5 is?
20.
3 times 2 is?
6.
How many 6s in 20?
3.
3, because that makes 18, leaving us with,
2, 6.
which can reduce to 3 1/3. Which we know because we've done our work with fraction decimal conversions. This would be 3.3 repeating, which means the fraction form is definitely better. The fraction form is definitely better. Whether you use mixed number or you can even do improper and it'd still be okay. Do C on your own so we can double check that you get the right answer. Now, I'm going to write this again in the middle and just do it vertically. Yeah, Naomi?
You said to go across, so wouldn't you do like 3 times 2 and then 6, then 1 times 1 equals 1 plus
Wait, 1, where are you getting? Oh, once we're improper, we go straight across. We can't go straight through with the mixed form. The mixed form is really gross to work with. Especially because I can't type this in my calculator. Now, you could type in 0.33333. You could type in the fraction, but if you're trying to like just do decimals and go fast, this doesn't really, there's no perfect way to type that in. The first thing you should have done is rewrite the problem. I know, I just realized this morning I can actually use white because I have an orange background. I don't know why, but we all in the morning class liked it, so I kind of liked it.
I like it too. I
1 1/3 becomes
4/3.
4/3.
And then
3 1/3.
10.
Then it's 1/3.
49.
Ooh, somebody said 40/3. Be careful. That's the trap your brain might drop you into, is when you have the same denominators. Now, I will tell you, you're tempted when you see the same number to just bring it across, because that's what we did back when we were adding and subtracting. It's not. It's 9 here. The way true story, the way I help my brain is I would always draw these arrows. So if you want another strategy to help you make sure you do this right, draw those arrows going straight through. Now some people just draw a dot up here and a dot down here, but I don't like 3 dots kind of stacked on so that's why I drew the arrows. Because we multiply 4 times 10 and we multiply 3 times 3, so they would just put dots, but it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. How many 9s fit in 40?
4.
Yeah, and what that makes?
36.
So we have how many left over? 4 and 4 9s. I also dig the proclaimers. Any questions on making? Hold up. I don't want people to say no. I want people to say, yeah, I do still have a question. Any questions on making mixed into improper? Multiply down, then add up. Any questions on then multiplying through? Now, has anyone ever heard the phrase, we can't mix apples and oranges?
No.
Keegan, do you know what that phrase means? Anyone know what this means?
Can I guess?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to guess that it means you can't mix apples and oranges. Probably means that if you try to mix them, you're going to get a sour taste. Meaning that if you try to mix something that doesn't go right
Well, you never drank apple orange juice?
Meaning,
What about orange apple juice?
Orange
Orange apple? Or orange apple?
Orange
So if we have 3, exactly what Layla's saying, right?
I was going to take a guess, but you were
So if we have 3 apples and 2 oranges, do I have 5 apple oranges?
No.
No.
You have 5 apples. No, you
We have 3 apples and 2 oranges. We can't put them together.
5 apples and
So, if we do put them together, hey, I got some people drifting away, and this is a skill we're going to use a lot this year. The last thing we're doing today, so stay with me. If we put them in the same bowl, we would still say 3 apples and 2 oranges. I'd still have 2 units, which in math, we don't really like. So when we work with numbers that start in 2 different units, like feet and inches, or days and hours, or meters and kilometers, we want to fix this situation, to have 1 unit. The trick is go from the bigger unit into the smaller unit. So please on your paper, write down 2.5 feet plus 8 inches on your graph paper, because this is not on the blue sheet. Okay?
It's a good thing my 6th grade math teacher taught me this.
Yeah, how to convert. How do we do that then?
Depending on how many inches are in a foot.
Well, how many inches are in a foot?
1.
12 always, right? Not how many inches are in your foot, but a foot. No, stop. So, now the first thing I'm going to do, you wrote this down, but we're going to make this improper to be easier to work with. This is really 5 halves feet. And here's the weird thing that a lot of people don't understand. When we talk about a value as just a fraction, the label belongs to the numerator. Because essentially this is 5 feet divided by 2. Right? The label belongs to the numerator. Now please write this next part down exactly how I do, because otherwise, like a month from now, when you come here and say, hey, I still don't understand this, I'll reference back to this moment. We now use what's called a conversion factor because we want to turn this into some amount of inches. So to do that, we use a fraction. Why all the random noises? I feel like I'm at a petting zoo or something.
I have 500. I would
Write down exactly what I just wrote down. We are going to use a conversion factor, but actually, now you don't have to write this down because you might riot.
Ryan. Start Ryan.
This is a giant 1. No riots.
You want us to write that?
No, I said you do not need to because all we're doing with that, and the reason I literally got rid of it, is I need you to realize this fraction is just saying these values are equal. 12 inches is a foot. Why we're using this, and like, because multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything, except it can change labels. So when we have feet on top and feet on bottom, they cancel each other. Feet divided by feet, they are gone now. And my answer is just in inches, because that's the only label I have left. Please make sure you have all of this written down. If you'd like to make the note, you don't have to, but you can make the note, this is a conversion factor. So now we can multiply through and we have our answer in inches. 5 times 12. 50 plus another 10, so 60. Well, I broke it. 5 times 10, then 5 times 2. And then 2 times 1 across the bottom.
Why would it be 2?
Do we have any actual questions? I hear chatter, but I don't know if that's real or just being goofy because it's right. Naomi?
Okay. Can't you simplify that?
Yes.
30 over 1.
Yes, this is really just 30. Now hold up. I'll let you ask your second question. What's the abbreviation for inches? IN. Okay, Naomi, and your other question? You are typing it wrong.
Would that be different because of the feet and inches? This is 21 over
2.5 is not 21 over 2. You cannot rely on your calculator. And like I said yesterday, don't try to put the mixed numbers in there. Don't even try to put the impropers. Do the numerator across, then do the denominator across. So make it improper just manually, right? Like we normally can do that math, like in our head, like that multiplication, that addition. Then use your calculator through the top and through the bottom separately. What would our conversion factor be to turn days into hours? What thing relates days to hours and is really equal to each other? Maxton?
20. There's 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, 24 hours in a day. Now we're going to rewrite this, but hang on, I'm going to make your life easier. Can I put days with days? Could they add together?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's do that. How many eighths are in a half? 4. How many eighths do I have total here?
21.
We just said how many eighths are in a half. What should this be? Yeah, whoever's saying stuff, this is 4 eighths, right? We can think about a half as 4 eighths. 4 eighths plus 3 eighths. What I would like you to write down on your paper is 7 eighths of a day, or you could just literally label it days. But that label actually belongs in the numerator if we're being technical. Our conversion factor, we want days on bottom. So guys, this is seriously what you think of first. How do I put days on bottom to get rid of the days? Well, I can put anything I want on top. I can put minutes, I can put seconds, but what we want is hours. So we're going to put hours up here. How many hours are... Now guys, this doesn't have to be 1. but it's way easier if it is. How many hours are in one day?
24 hours.
24. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to multiply 7 by 24. I could, but it's kind of big. So, here, this is another, I'm going to beg you to write this exactly how I write it. Here is an opportunity that we can make our life easier. By the way, up here, sorry to go back to A, we forgot the final step of A. All of this was just the 2.5 feet. We forgot the 8 inches. So we need to come over here, add the 8 inches. How many is it total? 38 inches total. So sorry, I didn't want to you don't have to go back and write that, but I wanted to make sure we went back and said we forgot to actually finish that. So here, we need to remember to add the 6 hours at the end, right? Let's not forget that part. But down here, please with me, you have these 2 fractions written. There's a strategy called cross-reducing that is not, hear me when I say this is not cross-multiplication. That's when you have a fraction equal. There's no equals in between those fractions. That's a fraction equal to a fraction. This is not. This is 2 fractions being multiplied. Right? Cross-reducing is when we recognize there's something in the top and something in the bottom that can both divide by the same thing right now before I do my math. What can 8 and 24 both divide by? 8. Sorry, for a moment I thought you said 18, but yeah, 8. Right? 24 and 8 can both divide by 8. Now, before we do this, you never have to do this. It's just a strategy to help you out. So if this confuses you, you do not have to do this. So, Lexi, what's 8 divided by 8?
1.
Kylo, what's 24 divided by 8? Yeah, and stop passing notes. 7 times 3 now. 7 times 3. Because the 24 is not 24 anymore, it's 3. What was that, Keegan? Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. And then the bottom is going to be just 1. Because we made this into a 1. This is a 1. And now our days cancel out our days. And what's our unit we're left with? Hours. So we have 21 hours plus 6 more hours. What do we get? 27 hours. Who here's ever ran a 5K? A 5K stands for 5 kilometers. Now, I only run when chased, but I have ran a 5K. There were people behind me, so I will consider myself being chased. This is a meter, right? K stands for kilo. Sorry, there's parking. I didn't think it was going to be loud, but my bad. K in kilo.
What are we doing?
Please make a note that kilo means 1,000. So a 5-kilometer race is 5,000 of these laid out, right? Because we're running. It's about 3.2 miles. But that's what the K in a 5K stands for 5,000. Right? So when we go and try to do C, we're going to need to convert that value, but we don't actually have to use a conversion factor. If we can, in our brain, say, well, this really means 1,000. So instead of saying 14 kilometers, we could say 14,000 meters. So please write down exactly how they have it, but you could write down 12.5 M and plus 14 K M, but then I'm going to rewrite it down here so I have more space. 12.5 M plus 14 km, except this k, you should have this note that kilo means 1,000. So this turns into 12.5 m plus 14,000 meters. Now, if we wanted to use a conversion factor, it'd be that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, but we don't need to use this since we just did that like mentally. Kilometers, 1,000. Now we can do this addition. But we don't need it. If we can remember kilo means 1,000, we don't need it. I'm trying to make your life easy. So when I add these, well, just 14,000, 12.5
meters.
If M is the abbreviation for meters, what's the abbreviation for miles? M-I. M-I is miles. What's the abbreviation for minutes? M-I-N. So please, do not, these are things I've learned I should announce early in the year, do not use M as the abbreviation for any word that starts with M. M is meters. And now that we've said this in class, if you use M, and we're not talking meters, I will write meters, question mark? Because if you're talking about minutes and you use M, you've now switched what you're talking about. And this is so that you can communicate with other people, right? So that you can do math with other people. You can do your homework with somebody. We all need to be speaking the same language, right? And abbreviate things the same way. Probably a lot, like too many, more than we want. There's already having miles, meters, and minutes is already enough for me. Like, right, millimeters. I mean, we also use M for like the measure of. So there's a symbol in math that is this, which means the measure of an angle. So this would be like M angle J, like the measure of angle J is like 67 degrees. That M is just an M, but it's not an abbreviation of like a unit. It's communicating the measure of angles. So, yeah.
Are we going to use that in high school?
Yes, you'll use that in high school, but not, well, you might use it this year. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Because in the last class we were doing a problem that was one of these things was not like the other, and that was a Sesame Street activity.
Who helped you work for finding your pen?
Morgan.
Have you ever ran for your life, though?
I ran in woods when I didn't know what the noise I heard was. So maybe, I don't know. I was a child in Boy Scouts.
What does this interrupt you?
I did. I don't know why. Don't ask me to explain why it was lost. If we start your homework together, right? We've got a few minutes. Go down to 101. Go down to 101 if you're already done with it. Sweet. But go down to 101. All right, Max. Goodbye. If you're gonna walk 500 miles, you better start right now. Make these improper.
I just love that song. It's stuck in my head.
Yeah, wake up. Well, I know I'm gonna be the man.
I know that song.
Hey, we have 4 minutes left. You could get a decent amount of your homework done.
Wait, well, how long do you think it would take them to walk 500 miles?
We could do the math problem and figure it out.
It probably takes me 5 years.
So normal human walking speed is between 2 and 3 miles an hour.
But I walk very slow, so.
You would divide 500.
Oh, true. Are you playing that song? You guys are
So A comes out to be 12 over 6, or really 2.
I have a question.
How'd I get this way? I'm not quite sure. What's up, Ray?
So I think we did this in history, I think some, and I'm trying to start doing this right. So when we're doing like, so for instance, we would
Yeah.
multiply those like we would multiply going like 3 times 3 and plus 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, that's what this little weird symbol is multiply down, then add it up.
Oh.
So 3, 3, 9, add with the 1, we get 10.
So then we just multiply whatever we get.
Yeah, so 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5.
Oh.
And this becomes 50 over 6. That could reduce to like 25 over 3, but that's really as far as we can go. C, the same number multiplied by itself. Well, okay, that shouldn't be too bad. We multiply down, add up. What does 2.5 turn into? 5 halves.
Oh, have you seen the Minecraft version? Have you seen the Minecraft version?
I have not.
It's 500 chunks.
How many 4s fit into 25? What numbers should we work with? 20, 24, right? 24 is how many 4s? 5. It's more than 5 because 5 is 26. Right, 6 and a 4th.
And so 6 is a 4th, and then D is.
Oh, we already know what 2.5 is, right? 5 halves. We just worked with this. What is this?
Times 5 fourths.
5 fourths.
8 goes 25 to 8. 8 goes 30 and 1 8. I just did that whole entire problem for you. 500 miles. 500.
We're going to lunch.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Why do I recognize this song?
And I put You'll never get there alive. I'll walk 500 miles and I'll walk 500.
I'll do that too. I can't wait to pass those at lunchtime.
No, not for us.
I would walk 500 miles in a year. And I would walk
SATURTAY. We're going to lunch, friends. We're going to lunch.
I love